The diary hit the marble floor with a sharp crack that echoed through the quiet chamber. Lady Vera froze. The sound seemed far too loud for such a small object. The worn leather book slid across the polished floor, its pages spilling open like wounded wings. For a moment, the princess could not breathe. She had only meant to search the human ambassador's quarters. Nothing improper. Nothing personal. The council had asked her to confirm the location of several trade documents. But instead, she had found the diary hidden beneath his pillow. Curiosity had made her open it. Now she wished she had not. The door behind her opened. "Your Highness." The quiet voice made her turn slowly. Ambassador Marcus Cole stood in the doorway. He looked pale. The human was not an impressive figure by the standards of the Valath Empire. He was thin, almost fragile compared to the tall, powerful nobles of the court. His formal diplomatic coat hung loosely from his shoulders. 6 months on the harsh alien world had not been kind to him. Dark shadows rested beneath his eyes. But right now, those eyes were locked on the diary in her hands. And the color drained from his face. For several long seconds, neither of them spoke. "I can explain," Marcus said quietly. Vera knew immediately that he could not. She looked down at the open page. Her translator implant struggled to process the messy human handwriting, but the meaning became clear. It was a drawing. Her face. The princess stared at the careful pencil sketch. The artist had drawn her sitting in the palace garden beneath the flowering silver vines. The lines were soft but detailed. Even her small smile had been captured. Beneath the sketch were written words. "She laughed today. I did not know she could laugh. I did not know anything could sound like that." Vera's hands trembled. "You will leave," she said suddenly. Her voice sounded wrong. Too sharp. Too cold. Marcus flinched. "Tonight," she continued, "I will inform the council that the trade negotiations are finished." "Your Highness." "Do not speak." He stopped immediately. Slowly, carefully, Marcus walked into the room and knelt beside the fallen pages. He began gathering them one by one. His movements were controlled, but she noticed something strange. His fingers lingered on certain entries, almost as if they hurt to touch. The Valath did not keep diaries. Writing private thoughts was considered a dangerous weakness. When Vera had been a child, she once wrote a poem about her father after his assassination. Her mother had burned it in front of the entire royal court. A lesson in strength. The memory returned now with painful clarity. "You have been here 6 months," Vera said quietly. Marcus stood again, holding the diary tightly against his chest. "Yes. You attend every council meeting, every royal dinner, every negotiation session." He nodded slowly. "And during all that time," she lifted the fallen page with her sketch, "you were writing about me." Marcus looked at the drawing. Then he laughed. It was not a happy sound. "Because you are the only beautiful thing on this planet that doesn't want to kill me." Vera blinked. The honesty of the statement shocked her. But he was not wrong. When Marcus Cole first arrived, the Valath court treated him like an insect. Humans were considered weak creatures. Fragile. Soft. Useful for trade perhaps, but nothing more. The human ambassador had spent 6 months navigating a palace where almost everyone expected him to fail. Or die. "I didn't mean," Vera started. "Yes, you did," Marcus replied calmly. He tucked the diary inside his coat. "I will leave tonight," he said. "I will report that negotiations were unsuccessful. My government will send another diplomat." "That matters," Vera said. Marcus looked directly into her eyes. "A dangerous breach of royal protocol. You made your position clear when I arrived," he said quietly. "Humans are useful tools. Nothing more." Vera remembered saying those exact words. And suddenly, shame burned in her chest. "I was wrong," she whispered. Marcus froze. "What?" "I was wrong." The admission felt like swallowing broken glass. "I have watched you these past months," Vera continued. "The way you treat the servants with respect. The way you sit with the kitchen staff and learn their names." Marcus said nothing. "And the way you hide how tired you are," she added softly. She hesitated. I read another entry, she admitted. Marcus's face turned white. The one about your sister. He turned away immediately. You had no right. I know. Silence filled the room. Then Vera stepped closer. You wrote that she died 3 years ago, she said quietly. That you volunteered for this mission because you hoped you would not survive it. Marcus's shoulders trembled. You wrote that every morning you wake up and have to convince yourself to keep breathing. He covered his face. Vera hesitated. Then she asked the question that had been burning in her mind. Is it true, what you wrote about me? Marcus did not answer. You wrote that when you look at me, she said softly, you feel like you might want to keep breathing after all. The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Marcus lowered his hands. Yes, he said. Vera's heart began to race. Then stay, she whispered. Marcus laughed again. A tired, broken sound. Your Highness. My name is Vera. She reached out and took his hand. It was warm, rough, human. I'm asking you to stay, she said. For the first time since arriving on the planet. Marcus Cole looked like a man who might actually believe life was worth living. 3 weeks later, the Royal Council gathered again. Something had changed. Marcus walked into the chamber differently now. He stood straighter. He no longer kept his eyes lowered. High Counselor Thresh noticed immediately. Ambassador Cole, the old noble said sharply. You are late. Marcus bowed politely. I was reviewing the trade agreements with Princess Vera. A quiet ripple moved through the room. Vera remained seated beside her mother, the Empress. Her face revealed nothing. But inside, her heart was racing. Because for the last 3 weeks, they had met every morning. Not to discuss politics, but life. Marcus had told her about Earth. About oceans and rainstorms and cities full of light. She told him about her childhood. About losing her father. About the loneliness of being raised to rule an empire. They shared secrets, fears, dreams. And slowly, something fragile began to grow between them. But secrets never stayed hidden in the Valath court for long. That evening, Marcus found Vera waiting in the palace garden. His expression was grim. She knows, he said quietly. Vera's stomach tightened. My mother. He nodded. She searched my room. She found the diary. Cold fear spread through her chest. What did she say? Marcus took a slow breath. She asked me if I was in love with you. The words hung in the night air. And what did you tell her? Vera whispered. The truth. Her heart pounded. And that is. Marcus looked at her. I told her I thought my ability to love died with my sister. He stepped closer. But when I look at you. His voice softened. I think maybe it's coming back. Vera felt tears burn her eyes. What did she say after that? She asked quietly. Marcus gave a bitter smile. She said you are already promised to Lord Caven. The name felt like poison. Lord Caven was a powerful noble. Cruel. Ambitious. I will not marry him, Vera said firmly. Marcus shook his head. You may not have a choice. Vera stepped closer and took his hand again. There is always a choice. He looked at her in disbelief. Even for people like us. Yes. Her voice trembled. Because you matter to me. Marcus stared at her. Why? He asked. I am nobody. Vera shook her head slowly. No. She placed her hand over his heart. You are the only person in this palace who sees me. Not the crown. Not the throne. Just her. And for the first time in years, Princess Vera felt alive. But their fragile moment of peace would not last. Because 3 days later, someone tried to kill her. And everything changed. The assassination attempt happened 3 days later. Princess Vera was walking through a quiet palace corridor when the first blade flew past her head. The sound sliced the air like a scream. Years of combat training saved her life. She dove sideways just as a second blade struck the wall where her throat had been. Vera rolled across the floor and drew her ceremonial dagger. The attacker stepped from the shadows. A young Valath woman wearing the colors of the third house. Lord Caven's house. The assassin smiled coldly. "Traitor," she hissed. "You would shame your bloodline for a human." Then she lunged. Vera blocked the first strike, but her dagger was decorative. The assassin's blade was not. Steel flashed. Pain burned across Vera's arm as the knife cut deep into her forearm. Blood spilled onto the marble floor. The assassin raised her weapon again. The next strike would take Vera's throat. But the blade never landed. A human body slammed into the assassin from the side. Marcus Cole had appeared out of nowhere. The impact sent both of them crashing to the floor. The assassin twisted violently, trying to stab him. Marcus grabbed her wrist with both hands. They struggled on the ground. Marcus was smaller, weaker, but desperation gave him strength. The assassin tried to twist free. Marcus reacted without thinking. He grabbed her head and twisted. A sharp crack echoed through the corridor. The assassin's body went limp. Marcus released her slowly. The silence afterward felt unreal. Vera stared at him. "You killed her." Marcus looked down at the body. "Yes." "You could have died." He looked up at her. "Yes." "Why?" Marcus seemed confused by the question. "Because I love you." The words were simple, honest, unfiltered. Vera's breath caught in her throat. Moments later, palace guards rushed into the corridor. They saw the dead noble. They saw the human. Marcus was immediately forced to his knees. A sword pressed against his throat. Then the Empress arrived. Her black robes flowed like shadows behind her. Her eyes were cold as stars. "Explain," she ordered. Vera stepped forward. "He saved my life." The Empress studied the dead assassin. The woman was from House Caven. "Yes." Marcus remained kneeling. The sword at his throat drew a thin line of blood. "You killed a Valath noble," the Empress said. "The punishment is death." Marcus nodded calmly. "She was trying to murder your daughter." "I would do it again." The guards stiffened. Such defiance was unheard of. The Empress stared at him. "Why?" Marcus lifted his head. "Because she matters." His voice was steady. "She matters more than politics. More than treaties. More than my life." Silence filled the corridor. "On my world," Marcus continued quietly, "when you love someone, you protect them. Even if it costs everything." The Empress studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Take him to the prison cells." Vera stepped forward instantly. "No." The guards froze. "You will not execute him," she said. The Empress turned slowly. "You dare challenge me?" "Yes." Vera lifted her chin. "If you kill him, I will tell every noble house in the Empire exactly what happened." The corridor fell silent. "I will tell them the human who saved the crown princess was executed for loyalty," Vera continued. "And I will make sure every species in the galaxy hears the same story." The Empress narrowed her eyes. "You would destroy our reputation for him." "Yes." "You would sacrifice your claim to the throne." Vera looked at Marcus. Blood stained his face. But his eyes were calm. "Yes," she said without hesitation. The Empress watched her daughter for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. "You sound like your father." Vera blinked. "What?" "He also believed in foolish things like love and honor." The Empress waved her hand. "Release the human." The guards obeyed immediately. Marcus stood slowly, uncertain. "The human will not die today," the Empress said. "But this matter is not finished." The next morning, the Royal Council gathered. Lord Caven stood in chains before the throne. Evidence of his assassination plot was undeniable. "You are guilty of treason," the Empress declared. "Your house is dissolved. Your lands are seized. You will be executed at sunset." Lord Caven glared at Vera with pure hatred. "You chose a human over your own kind. History will remember you as the princess who destroyed an empire." Vera stepped forward. "Perhaps," she said calmly. Or perhaps history will remember something else. The entire chamber listened. For centuries, our empire has defined strength as conquest, Vera said. Power, territory, control. She turned toward Marcus. This human belongs to a species we call weak. They have no armor, no claws, no natural weapons. But when I was in danger, her voice softened. He threw himself between me and a blade without hesitation. The chamber was completely silent. That is strength. Vera took Marcus's hand. We have forgotten what real strength looks like. The Empress stood slowly. Fine words, she said. But words are meaningless without action. Vera nodded. Then here is my action. She faced the council. I renounce my claim to the throne. Gasps filled the chamber. I choose to stand beside this human. Marcus stared at her in shock. You cannot do that, he whispered. I can, Vera replied. For the first time in my life. I'm choosing my own future. The Empress raised her hand. Silence returned. Then she did something no one expected. She bowed. Not slightly. Fully. To both of you, she said. The council gasped. My daughter has shown more courage today than many rulers show in a lifetime. She turned to Marcus. You saved her life. You offered your own life without hesitation. Marcus swallowed nervously. Yes. Why? Marcus answered honestly. Because humans feel things deeply. So deeply that we will burn ourselves alive for the people we love. The Empress studied him. Then she smiled slightly. The succession will not be withdrawn. The room froze. My daughter will still inherit the throne. And you, she told Marcus, will stand beside her. You will become imperial consort. Marcus stared in disbelief. What? That was not a request. Later that morning, Vera pulled Marcus into the palace garden. Golden sunlight filled the air. Imperial consort. Marcus said weakly, Does that mean? Vera laughed. It means you are stuck with me. Marcus smiled slowly. Forever. Forever. He kissed her gently, and for the first time since arriving on the alien world, Marcus Cole felt truly alive. High above them, the silver vine swayed in the warm morning breeze. And somewhere deep within the Valath Empire, a new idea had begun to grow. The idea that the strongest force in the universe was a human heart willing to love.